Have you ever been hurt by someone, maybe a friend, a family member, or even a stranger? How did it make you feel? Angry? Sad? Frustrated? What did you do with that pain? Did you let it control you, or did you find a way to release it? These are tough questions, but ones we all face at some point in our lives. So, what if I told you there's a way to heal from that hurt and not let it affect your peace of mind? What if the answer to overcoming pain and anger lies in ancient wisdom, in teachings that have been passed down for thousands of years? Imagine, for a moment, being hurt by someone close to you. You feel betrayed, lost, and all your emotions flood your mind. Now, picture a way to let go of that pain and find peace instead. No, it's not magic. It's the wisdom of Buddhism, and it can transform your life. If you've ever wondered how to find peace amidst the chaos of hurt, you're in the right place. Welcome to Wisdom Woven. In this video, we're going to explore how to handle the pain and hurt you feel when others wrong you, with insights from Buddhism that can change the way you view these painful moments. These teachings don't just promise to make your hurt go away. They offer a path to inner peace, understanding, and most importantly, healing. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% subscribe. So please, take a moment to like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. We would love to hear your thoughts, so please drop them down in the comments. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us grow together on this journey of wisdom and healing. Now, let's dive deep into the teachings that will help you heal. In the next few moments, we'll uncover how you can begin to let go of the hurt and find lasting peace, as we take a closer look at how Buddhism can help us navigate through life's challenges with grace and wisdom. Stay with us, and let's walk this path together. Understanding hurt through a Buddhist lens. When we are hurt by someone, it can feel like a storm has passed through our hearts. It feels like everything inside is shaking, and we wonder if we'll ever feel calm again. It's natural to feel upset, angry, or even betrayed. But have you ever stopped to think about what hurt really is? In Buddhism, the concept of hurt is not just an emotional reaction, but something deeper. The teachings tell us that hurt is part of the human experience. In fact, pain and suffering are seen as a natural part of life. Buddha himself said that life is full of suffering, and it's not about avoiding pain, but learning how to deal with it when it comes. Buddhism teaches us that all things are impermanent. This includes our emotions, even the painful ones. When someone hurts you, the hurt you feel is not permanent. It's like a wave that rises high but will eventually crash back down. Just like the weather changes, so too does our emotional state. However, what matters is how we respond to that hurt. Do we hold on to it and let it define us, or do we let go and allow ourselves to heal? One of the core Buddhist teachings is the understanding of dukkha, which is often translated as suffering or unsatisfactoriness. Dukkha reminds us that suffering is a natural part of life. Whether it's the hurt caused by others or the pain we feel from our own expectations, suffering is part of being human. In Buddhism, we don't fight this suffering, but instead, we learn to understand it. When we understand suffering, we can begin to see it as a teacher. It helps us grow and learn more about ourselves. When someone hurts us, it's easy to react with anger or blame. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if we saw the hurt not as something that defines us, but as a chance to practice patience, understanding, and compassion? Buddhism teaches us that our suffering often comes from attachment, our desire for things to be a certain way. We become attached to our expectations, our relationships, and the way we think people should treat us. When these things don't align with our expectations, we suffer. But what if we let go of these attachments? What if we accepted that things change, people change, and sometimes, hurt is inevitable? This doesn't mean we should accept abuse or mistreatment, but it does mean we can choose to stop allowing the hurt to control us. An important lesson in Buddhism is the idea of impermanence, that nothing stays the same forever. Your feelings of hurt won't last forever unless you keep feeding them. The more you hold on to them, the more they become a part of your identity. But just like a storm passes, so too does your emotional pain. Understanding this helps us release the grip that hurt can have on us. It's like holding on to a hot coal. You'll burn yourself, but if you let go, the pain stops. Buddhism also teaches us the importance of mindfulness. the practice of being present and aware in the moment. Often, when we're hurt, our minds spiral into thoughts of what the other person did wrong or how they should have behaved differently. We replay the hurt over and over in our heads, creating more suffering. But mindfulness allows us to step back and observe our feelings without judgment. Instead of getting caught up in the story of the hurt, we can simply acknowledge that we're feeling upset without attaching to the emotion. By doing so, we can begin to find peace, even in the midst of pain. The Buddhist teachings on mindfulness also encourage us to examine the thoughts and beliefs that fuel our suffering. Do we believe that we deserve to be treated a certain way? Are we angry because someone didn't meet our expectations? When we begin to see the thoughts that lead to our hurt, we gain the power to change them. We realize that the hurt we feel is not just about the actions of others, but about how we perceive those actions. We can't control how others behave, but we can control how we respond. There's also the teaching of equanimity, a sense of calmness and balance, no matter what life brings. This doesn't mean we become cold or indifferent to others, but it means we find peace within ourselves. When we cultivate equanimity, we can face hurt with a sense of detachment, not allowing the pain to disrupt our inner peace. We can experience the pain without becoming overwhelmed by it. Equanimity teaches us that our peace doesn't depend on the behavior of others. It comes from within. Another important lesson in Buddhism is the practice of compassion. When someone hurts us, it's easy to fall into a mindset of they are wrong and I am right. We feel that the person who hurt us owes us an apology or must make things right. But Buddhism encourages us to see things from the perspective of the other person. What if they are also suffering? What if their actions were born out of their own pain, fears, or insecurities? Practicing compassion means we don't just see the hurt they've caused, but we also try to understand the root of their actions. This doesn't mean that we condone hurtful behavior, but it allows us to let go of the anger and resentment that holds us back from healing. Compassion is not about excusing the actions of others, but about freeing ourselves from the emotional grip that hurt can have on us. When we practice compassion, we stop letting the actions of others dictate our peace. Buddhism also teaches us that by holding on to hurt, we only harm ourselves. It's like carrying a heavy load on our shoulders. The longer we carry it, the more exhausted and drained we become. But when we let go of that weight, we are free to move forward with lightness and ease. By holding on to our pain, we prevent ourselves from experiencing true happiness. Letting go allows us to be free from the past and to live fully in the present moment. In the Buddhist tradition, there's a practice called metta, or loving-kindness meditation. This practice helps us cultivate love and compassion, not only for others but for ourselves as well. When we practice metta, we send out wishes for the happiness, well-being, and peace of others, even those who have hurt us. Over time, this practice softens our hearts and allows us to heal. Understanding hurt through a Buddhist lens is not about denying the pain or pretending it doesn't exist. It's about recognizing that pain is a part of life and learning how to respond to it with wisdom and compassion. The teachings of Buddhism offer us a path to healing, where we can learn to let go of our attachment to hurt, see things from a broader perspective, and find peace in the midst of life's challenges. By understanding hurt from this deeper perspective, we free ourselves from the cycle of suffering. We realize that while we can't always control what happens to us, we can always control how we choose to respond. When we respond with understanding, compassion, and mindfulness, we are not only healing ourselves but also bringing more peace into the world around us. The art of detachment, letting go of pain. In life, we all face moments of pain, disappointment, and hurt. Whether it's a misunderstanding, a betrayal, or simply the weight of life struggles, these experiences can often feel overwhelming. But what if the answer to healing and peace isn't in holding on to the pain, but in letting it go? This is where the Buddhist concept of detachment comes in, and it's a powerful tool for freeing ourselves from the emotional burden of hurt. Detachment doesn't mean that we stop caring about the people or things that matter to us. It doesn't mean we become cold or indifferent. Instead, detachment is about not letting our emotions control us, not letting hurt define who we are or dictate our responses. It's about creating a healthy distance between ourselves and our pain so that we can process it with clarity and wisdom. Imagine a tree standing in the wind. The tree may bend, but it does not break. It is flexible, rooted, and resilient. Similarly, when we practice detachment, we become like that tree. We allow ourselves to feel the wind, feel the hurt, the anger, the sadness, but we do not allow it to uproot us. We acknowledge the emotions, but we do not let them dominate our actions or our state of mind. One of the most important lessons in Buddhism is that everything in life is temporary, including our pain. This idea is captured in the Buddhist principle of anicca, or impermanence. Just as joy and happiness come and go, so do sorrow and pain. Nothing lasts forever. When we hold on to our pain, we are holding on to something that is passing. We are attaching ourselves to something that isn't meant to stay. But when we understand that pain, like everything else, will eventually fade, we can begin to release our grip on it. Think of the pain you're carrying like a heavy stone. At first, it feels like a weight you cannot bear, something that's always with you. But if you keep carrying that stone for too long, you'll realize that it's only hurting you. The stone doesn't care whether you carry it or not, but you are the one suffering. Now, imagine that you could set the stone down, just for a moment. What would it feel like to let go of that burden? This is what detachment offers us, the ability to put down the stone, to release ourselves from the weight of the pain. But how do we practice detachment? The first step is to acknowledge the pain without judgment. We often try to push away our negative emotions or deny that they exist. We might think, I shouldn't feel this way, or this pain is not justified. But Buddhism teaches us that all emotions are valid. They are part of the human experience, and they deserve to be acknowledged and understood. By recognizing the pain without judgment, we allow ourselves to fully feel it without becoming overwhelmed by it. Once we've acknowledged our pain, the next step is to observe it without attachment. This means watching the pain as though we were an outside observer, not getting swept up in it. We can ask ourselves, what does this pain feel like? Where do I feel it in my body? What thoughts are arising as a result of this pain? By simply observing, we create a space between ourselves and the pain. We are no longer identified with it. It becomes just another experience, like any other, that will pass. Detachment also involves letting go of the need for things to be different. Often, when we're hurt, we focus on how things should have been, how the person who hurt us should have acted, or how life should have turned out differently. But this focus on what we cannot change keeps us stuck in the past. Buddhism teaches us that we cannot control what others do, nor can we change the past. What we can control is our response. When we stop clinging to what should have been and accept what is, we free ourselves from the chains of regret and resentment. The practice of mindfulness can greatly support detachment. Mindfulness is the art of being present in the moment, fully aware of what is happening without judgment or attachment. When we practice mindfulness, we become aware of the thoughts and emotions that arise within us, but we don't become attached to them. We observe them like clouds passing through the sky, there, but not permanent. Mindfulness helps us detach from our thoughts, emotions, and the stories we tell ourselves about our pain, allowing us to simply be present with what is. Another key aspect of detachment is forgiveness. Forgiving someone who has hurt us can feel impossible, but Buddhism teaches us that forgiveness is not for the other person, it's for ourselves. When we forgive, we release the grip that the hurt has on us. We let go of the need for justice or revenge. Forgiveness doesn't mean that we condone the hurt or forget what happened. It simply means that we no longer allow it to control us. We choose peace over pain, freedom over resentment. One of the most powerful teachings in Buddhism is the practice of compassion, and it's deeply connected to detachment. Compassion means understanding that others, like us, are suffering. They may have hurt us because of their own pain, confusion, or struggles. When we can view the person who hurt us with compassion, we are able to detach from the anger and resentment we feel toward them. We understand that they, too, are caught in the cycle of suffering, and this awareness helps us let go of our attachment to the pain they caused us. It's important to remember that detachment does not happen overnight. It is a practice, something we build over time. Each moment of hurt is an opportunity to practice letting go, to choose peace over pain. The more we practice detachment, the more natural it becomes. We begin to understand that our pain is not who we are, and we learn to respond to hurt with wisdom and clarity instead of reacting out of fear or anger. Detachment doesn't make us cold or uncaring. In fact, it allows us to love more fully. When we detach from the need for others to behave in a certain way or for situations to turn out as we expect, we free ourselves to experience love and connection without conditions. We love without attachment, and that love is pure and unconditional. As we move through life, we will continue to face moments of hurt and pain. But with the practice of detachment, we learn to navigate these moments with grace. We stop carrying the weight of past hurts and allow ourselves to experience life as it is, full of ups and downs, but always moving forward. By embracing the art of detachment, we free ourselves from the cycle of suffering. We create space for healing, peace, and joy. And most importantly, we take control of our own happiness, no longer allowing the actions of others to dictate how we feel or how we live. We let go, and in doing so, we find the freedom to be truly at peace. In the end, detachment is not about rejecting emotions or pushing away pain. It's about understanding that we are not our emotions, and we are not our pain. We are much more than that. We are the space in which these emotions arise, and in that space, we can choose to let go. By practicing detachment, we unlock the key to inner peace and emotional freedom, and we begin to live life with greater wisdom and compassion. Cultivating compassion for yourself and others. When we are hurt by someone, the natural reaction is often to feel angry, betrayed, or resentful. It's completely understandable to feel this way. But here's a truth that might surprise you. Holding on to those negative emotions doesn't help us heal. In fact, it only keeps us stuck in the past, trapped in the pain of what happened. So, how do we move forward? How do we heal from that hurt? The answer lies in compassion. Compassion is a cornerstone of Buddhist teachings. It is the ability to truly care about the well-being of others and to understand their pain without judgment. But here's the twist. Compassion isn't just about caring for others. It starts with caring for yourself first. You cannot fully show compassion to others if you are not kind and gentle with yourself. So, before you think about forgiving others or extending your compassion to them, you must learn to offer that same compassion to yourself. Let me explain. When we are hurt, we often blame ourselves. We wonder if we did something wrong or if we could have prevented the situation. We criticize ourselves for feeling hurt, thinking that maybe we are weak or overly sensitive. But compassion teaches us to accept our feelings, to acknowledge them, and to be gentle with ourselves. It's about saying, yes, I feel hurt. Yes, I feel sad. But that is okay. I am allowed to feel this way. When you practice compassion toward yourself, it gives you the space to heal. You stop punishing yourself for feeling the way you do. Instead, you allow your emotions to flow freely without judgment. This is one of the first steps in overcoming hurt, acknowledging and accepting your own feelings with kindness. Once you've learned to be compassionate with yourself, it becomes easier to extend that same compassion to others, even those who have hurt you. It might sound difficult at first, especially when someone has caused you pain. But understand this. Compassion is not about excusing their actions or pretending that nothing happened. It's about seeing them as fellow human beings who are, just like you, struggling with their own fears, insecurities, and pains. The Buddha taught that all beings suffer. It's a universal truth. Every person you meet, whether they are kind or cruel, has experienced pain in some form. The person who hurt you is no different. They may have acted out of their own suffering, their own misunderstandings, or their own struggles. Compassion allows you to recognize that their actions, however hurtful, may have come from a place of deep pain within them. This doesn't mean that you should allow yourself to be hurt again or stay in a toxic relationship. Compassion is not about being a doormat. It's about understanding the deeper reasons behind people's actions and recognizing that they, too, are just trying to make sense of the world in their own way. When you can view them with compassion, the hold that anger and resentment have on you begins to loosen. In Buddhism, there is a practice called metta, or loving-kindness meditation. This practice helps you cultivate compassion, both for yourself and for others. In a typical metta meditation, you start by sending kind thoughts to yourself. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I live with ease. This might feel awkward at first, especially if you are not used to being kind to yourself, but with time, it becomes natural. Next, you extend those same wishes to others. You start with someone you care about, someone close to you. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you live with ease. Then, you slowly expand the circle of compassion to include neutral people, acquaintances, and even those who have hurt you. May they be happy. May they be healthy. May they live with ease. This practice of sending loving kindness to all beings, including those who have wronged you, helps to soften the heart. It shifts your focus away from anger and towards understanding. It reminds you that every person, no matter what they have done, deserves compassion. This does not mean you condone their actions, but it means that you no longer let their actions control your emotional well-being. The power of compassion lies in its ability to free us from the chains of resentment. When we hold on to anger, we are tied to the past, constantly reliving the hurt. But when we practice compassion, we break free. Compassion allows us to move forward, to let go of the past, and to create space for peace and healing in our hearts. Another way to cultivate compassion is through forgiveness. Forgiveness is often misunderstood. People think that forgiveness means letting someone off the hook or condoning their actions. But forgiveness, in the Buddhist sense, is about releasing the hold that the person and the hurt have on you. It is about freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. Forgiveness does not mean that you forget what happened. It does not mean that you should trust that person again or allow them to continue hurting you. It simply means that you are no longer willing to carry the weight of anger and resentment. You choose to release those emotions for your own peace of mind, not for the other person's benefit. It's important to remember that forgiveness is a process. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes time. And it doesn't mean that you have to forget the hurt. But with practice, forgiveness becomes easier. Each time you forgive, you release a little more of the anger and resentment that weighs you down. You slowly start to feel lighter, freer, and more at peace. In the teachings of Buddhism, there is a concept called emptiness. This refers to the idea that nothing in this world is permanent, including the pain and hurt we experience. Just as joy is fleeting, so too is sorrow. The pain you feel today will not last forever. When you understand that all things are temporary, you begin to see that holding on to hurt is a waste of energy. The hurt will pass, just as all things pass. And when it does, you will be left with peace and freedom. By cultivating compassion, you begin to release the hold that hurt has on you. You stop defining yourself by the pain you've experienced. You stop seeing the world through the lens of anger and victimhood. Instead, you see the world through the lens of understanding and compassion. You recognize that everyone, including yourself, is simply doing their best to navigate a difficult world. This shift in perspective is transformative. It doesn't mean that you won't feel hurt anymore, but it means that the hurt no longer defines you. You are free to move forward, to live your life with a sense of peace and love, both for yourself and for others. And in this freedom, you find the true path to healing. Compassion is not a one-time act. It is a way of being. It is a practice that you carry with you every day. The more you practice compassion, the more natural it becomes. It becomes a part of who you are, and with it comes a deep sense of peace and contentment. So, begin with yourself. Be kind to yourself, forgive yourself, and show yourself the compassion that you deserve. And as you do, you will find it easier to extend that same compassion to others, even those who have hurt you. In the end, compassion is the key that unlocks the door to healing. It allows you to move beyond the pain, to let go of the past, and to create a future filled with peace, love, and understanding. So, take a deep breath and begin this journey of compassion today. Your heart will thank you for it. Mindfulness, the key to emotional healing. Have you ever stopped to truly notice how you feel when you're hurt? When someone says or does something that cuts deep, it's easy to get lost in a whirlwind of emotions: anger, frustration, sadness. But have you ever thought about how many of those emotions are based on our reactions rather than the actual event itself? When we let our emotions rule us, we give away our power. Mindfulness, a core practice in Buddhism, offers a way to take that power back and heal from within. Mindfulness is simply the art of paying attention, being fully present in the moment, without judgment or distraction. In those moments when someone hurts us, mindfulness helps us step back and observe what's happening, rather than reacting impulsively. It allows us to pause, take a deep breath, and choose how we want to respond instead of just reacting from a place of hurt or anger. This practice can be incredibly transformative because it breaks the cycle of emotional reactivity. When we are mindful, we don't suppress our emotions, but instead, we create space for them to exist without controlling us. We can acknowledge our hurt, sit with it, and understand it, but we don't have to let it define us. Now, you may be wondering, how does mindfulness help with emotional healing? Let's dive deeper. Imagine you're feeling angry after someone said something hurtful to you. In the past, you might have reacted immediately, either by snapping at them, holding a grudge, or ruminating on the words they said. But with mindfulness, you can pause for a moment and simply notice the anger within you. Instead of feeding the anger with more thoughts or judgments about the situation, you simply observe it. You notice how your body feels. Maybe your heart is racing, your muscles are tense, your face is flushed. You notice the thoughts that come up. How could they say that? I can't believe they did this to me. But instead of becoming overwhelmed by these thoughts and feelings, you just let them be. This is where the healing begins. By acknowledging your anger without attaching a story to it, you allow it to exist without letting it take control of you. In Buddhism, this is called non-attachment, recognizing that our emotions, like everything else, are impermanent. They come and go. They do not define who we are. When we practice mindfulness, we develop the ability to see our emotions as temporary visitors rather than permanent parts of our identity. When you become aware of your emotions, you start to realize that they are not always rooted in the present moment. Many times, our reactions are based on past experiences or old wounds. Maybe someone hurt you years ago, and the words or actions of someone today triggered that old pain. Mindfulness helps you identify these patterns and separate your current experience from past memories. By seeing these patterns, you can start to break free from old emotional habits and respond to the present situation with greater clarity and compassion. One of the most powerful aspects of mindfulness is that it helps you detach from your thoughts and emotions. When we hold on to hurt or anger, we often feed it with negative thoughts. We replay the incident over and over in our minds, making it bigger and more painful. Mindfulness teaches us to step back from this cycle. It reminds us that we are not our thoughts, nor are we our emotions. We are the observer of them. Think about a time when you felt overwhelmed by anger or sadness. What would it have been like if you could have paused for just a moment and observed those feelings instead of getting caught up in them? What if you could have noticed the anger, acknowledged it, and then let it go without holding on to it for hours, days, or even years? This is the power of mindfulness in emotional healing. In Buddhism, the practice of mindfulness is tied closely to the concept of sati, which means awareness or attention. It's about bringing your full attention to whatever is happening in the present moment, without distractions, judgments, or attachments. This is why mindfulness is so effective in healing emotional wounds. It allows us to be fully present with our feelings without letting them control us. When we practice mindfulness, we also learn to become more compassionate, not just towards others, but towards ourselves. Often, when we are hurt, we are hard on ourselves. We blame ourselves for feeling hurt or for letting someone else's words affect us. Mindfulness helps us release that self-judgment. It teaches us to treat ourselves with kindness and patience, just as we would treat a dear friend who is in pain. Compassion is one of the key elements of mindfulness. As you become more aware of your own emotions, you begin to see the suffering in others as well. You recognize that everyone, at some point, has been hurt, and everyone is doing their best to navigate the complexities of life. This understanding helps to soften your heart and let go of resentment. It allows you to move towards forgiveness, not as a way to excuse someone's behavior, but as a way to free yourself from the grip of anger. When you're mindful, you also start to notice the small moments of peace and beauty in your daily life. You become aware of the simple joys: a warm cup of tea, a gentle breeze, the sound of birds singing. These moments of mindfulness are healing in themselves. They help you reconnect with the present moment and remind you that life, despite its challenges, is filled with beauty and joy. Mindfulness doesn't require you to make drastic changes in your life or to be in a special place to practice it. You can practice mindfulness anywhere, at home, at work, even in the middle of a difficult conversation. It's about bringing awareness to whatever you're doing, whether it's washing dishes, walking, or simply breathing. With regular practice, you begin to notice that you're more at peace, even when difficult emotions arise. Another important aspect of mindfulness is that it encourages us to let go of expectations. We often expect that people should behave in a certain way, or that life should go according to our plans. When reality doesn't match our expectations, we feel hurt or frustrated. Mindfulness teaches us to accept things as they are, without wishing they were different. It helps us release the need for control and embrace the present moment, no matter how challenging it may seem. So, the next time someone hurts you, try to remember this. Instead of reacting with anger or hurt, take a moment to pause and breathe. Bring your attention to your feelings and notice what's happening within you. Recognize that your emotions, though real, are just that, emotions. They don't have to control you. You can choose how you respond. And in that choice, there is freedom. By practicing mindfulness, you can begin to heal the emotional wounds that life inevitably brings. You can let go of the past and create space for peace in your heart. You can free yourself from the cycle of suffering and step into a life of greater clarity, compassion, and understanding. It's not an easy path, but it's a path worth walking. Mindfulness, the key to emotional healing, will help you along the way. The role of karma and perspective in hurt. When we experience hurt or pain from someone, it can feel overwhelming. We question why it happened to us. Why did they hurt me? We ask. But there's a deeper way of looking at this that comes from Buddhism, a way that can help us understand our pain better and, more importantly, help us heal. It's the idea of karma and the role it plays in how we view our hurt. Understanding karma and shifting our perspective can help us see things in a new light and, in turn, find peace. At the heart of Buddhist teaching is the belief in karma. Simply put, karma is the law of cause and effect. Every action we take, whether good or bad, creates an effect that returns to us. If we act kindly and with compassion, good things tend to come back to us. But if we harm others or act out of anger, that too comes back to us. It's not some cosmic punishment or reward. It's simply the way life works. Now, when someone hurts us, we may wonder, is this my karma? Did I do something to deserve this pain? In Buddhism, there's a saying that helps us understand this better. What you sow, you reap. But here's the important thing to remember. Karma is not always about this lifetime. It may be the result of something we did in the past, whether in this life or even in previous lives. This can be a hard truth to accept, but it also opens the door to healing. If we understand that our pain may be a result of past actions, it gives us the chance to learn from it and break the cycle. However, it's also important to understand that just because someone hurt you, it doesn't mean you deserve it. In Buddhism, it's not about placing blame or shame. It's about understanding that everything is interconnected. Our actions today can influence tomorrow. So, if we can shift our perspective, we might start to see that the hurt we experience may be part of someone else's karma, not just ours. That person may be acting out of their own suffering, their own unresolved pain. And sometimes, the hurt we feel is just a reflection of their internal struggles, not something personal they wish to do to us. It's also key to remember that karma doesn't work instantly. It's not like we perform an action, and immediately we see the consequences. Karma unfolds over time. So, when someone hurts us, it's important to recognize that their actions are likely a result of their past actions, and not just something we deserve in the moment. If we can understand this, we can begin to stop taking their actions personally. Let's take an example. Imagine you are at work and a colleague criticizes you harshly in front of others. You feel embarrassed, angry, and deeply hurt. Your first instinct might be to retaliate or hold on to that anger. But in Buddhism, we learn that the criticism they gave you may be tied to their own insecurities, perhaps their own past experiences. They might be projecting their own struggles onto you. If you understand this, it becomes easier to let go of that hurt and respond with compassion, instead of letting it fester and grow into something negative. One of the most powerful tools in Buddhism is learning to cultivate perspective. How we view the world, and how we view the people who hurt us, can either trap us in pain or set us free. Perspective doesn't mean we ignore the hurt or pretend it didn't happen. It means we can learn to see the bigger picture and understand that everything is part of a larger cycle. Take a moment to think about the nature of life itself. It's constantly changing, ebbing, and flowing like the tides. When we face moments of pain, we may feel stuck in them, as though they will last forever. But in truth, this pain is just a passing moment in the flow of life. Everything comes and goes. It's this understanding that can give us the freedom to let go of resentment and find peace within ourselves, even when others hurt us. In the Buddhist tradition, there's also a deep recognition of the interconnectedness of all things. When we hurt others, we are not just affecting them. We are affecting ourselves. And when others hurt us, it's not just their actions that impact us. It's how we respond to them that shapes our future. This is where the power of karma comes in. It's not just about what happens to us, but also about what we do with what happens. Will we let hurt consume us? Or will we choose to respond with wisdom and compassion, transforming the hurt into an opportunity for growth? One way to transform the hurt caused by others is to recognize that everyone is suffering in some way. No one is immune to pain. People who hurt others are often carrying their own burdens. When we understand this, it doesn't excuse their actions, but it can help us feel less personally attacked. It's a way of stepping back and seeing that their hurtful behavior is just a reflection of their own struggles. The Buddha taught that we should not respond to anger with anger, nor to hatred with hatred. This is the way to break the cycle of karma. By responding with love, compassion, and understanding, we can change the course of our own lives and the lives of those around us. This is the transformative power of perspective. It's about breaking free from the cycle of hurt and creating a new path. A path that leads to peace, not only for ourselves, but for everyone we encounter. So, the next time you are hurt by someone, try to step back and reflect on the bigger picture. Instead of letting your anger or pain consume you, pause and consider. Could this person be acting out of their own suffering? Could their actions be a reflection of their own past karma? By asking yourself these questions, you shift your perspective. And in doing so, you begin to break the cycle of hurt. You are no longer a victim of someone else's actions. You are the master of your own response, and in that, you find true freedom. In Buddhism, it's said that to truly heal, we must learn to look at everything, including the hurt we experience, through the lens of compassion. This is where the real power lies. When we understand karma, when we shift our perspective, and when we respond with compassion, we begin to see that the pain caused by others doesn't have to control us. We are the ones who choose how we react, and it's in that choice that our true power lies. By choosing peace over anger, understanding over judgment, we free ourselves from the cycle of hurt and create a space for healing, wisdom, and love to flow freely into our lives. So, let's remember, karma is not something to fear or dread. It's a natural law that helps us make sense of the world. And by changing our perspective and responding with compassion, we can transform every moment of hurt into an opportunity for growth and healing. This is the true path to peace. The power of forgiveness in Buddhism. Forgiveness. It's one of the most powerful tools you have to heal your heart, yet it's often one of the hardest things to practice. When someone hurts you, whether intentionally or not, the natural reaction is to hold on to that pain. You feel wronged, betrayed, and your anger rises. You want to hold on to that feeling, to punish the person who hurt you. But what if I told you that by holding on to that pain, you're not hurting the other person, you're hurting yourself? In Buddhism, forgiveness is not just an act of kindness towards others, it is an act of deep self-care. It's a way to free yourself from the chains of anger and resentment that keep you bound to your suffering. The teachings of Buddha tell us that to forgive is to release ourselves from the cycle of negativity and to allow our hearts to open to peace. Imagine a pot filled with water. If you keep adding stones into the pot, the water will get heavier and heavier until the pot is full. The more stones you add, the less room there is for the water to flow freely. In the same way, when you hold on to anger, resentment, or hurt, you're filling your heart with heavy emotions. It's like trying to carry a burden that gets heavier with each passing day. But if you let go of those stones, if you forgive, the water can flow again. Your heart becomes lighter, your mind clearer, and you are free. Forgiveness is not about excusing someone's bad behavior or saying what they did was okay. It's not about forgetting the hurt or pretending it didn't happen. Forgiveness is about releasing yourself from the grip of those negative emotions that continue to drag you down. It's about choosing peace over pain, understanding over anger, and freedom over resentment. In Buddhism, we are taught that all beings are interconnected. When we forgive, we are not only letting go of the pain within ourselves, but we are also freeing the other person from the burden of our judgment. By forgiving, we create space for compassion and understanding to enter both our hearts and the hearts of others. There's a famous saying in Buddhism: holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. This saying highlights the futility of holding on to negative emotions. When you hold on to anger, it's like you're drinking poison. It harms you, not the other person. The one who suffers is you. But when you forgive, the poison is no longer in your system, and you are free to live your life without the heavy weight of bitterness and resentment. Forgiveness doesn't always come easily, and it may take time. Sometimes the hurt is deep, and the pain feels overwhelming. It may seem impossible to forgive the person who caused you so much harm. But Buddhism teaches us that forgiveness is a process, not an event. It's a journey that starts with one small step: the willingness to let go. Start by acknowledging your feelings. It's okay to be hurt. It's okay to be angry. These feelings are natural, and they are part of being human. But the key is not to let them control you. Recognize the pain, feel it, and then allow yourself to release it. This doesn't mean you're weak or that you're letting someone off the hook for what they did. It simply means you are choosing to take back your power and not let the hurt define you. In Buddhism, one of the core teachings is the concept of impermanence. Everything in life is temporary: our thoughts, our emotions, and even the people who cause us pain. The moment we understand this, we realize that nothing lasts forever, not even our suffering. This is a powerful realization. When you forgive, you are embracing the truth that everything changes. The pain you feel today will not last forever. By letting go, you are allowing the future to unfold with more peace and clarity. Forgiveness also helps us to see beyond the surface. It helps us understand that every person, even those who hurt us, is acting from their own place of suffering. No one wakes up with the intention to hurt another person. People hurt others because they themselves are struggling, because they are also trapped in their own pain. When you forgive, you recognize that the person who hurt you is also suffering in their own way, and that their actions are a reflection of their internal struggles, not of your worth. This is the essence of compassion. When we forgive, we are practicing compassion, not only for others but for ourselves as well. Compassion is the ability to understand another person's suffering without judgment. It is the ability to see them as human beings who are imperfect, just like we are. When we forgive, we create space for compassion to grow, not only in our hearts but in the world around us. Forgiveness is also about freeing yourself from the past. The past is over. It no longer exists except in our minds. When we hold on to old wounds, we are allowing the past to dictate our present. We are giving the actions of others the power to control our current state of mind. But when you forgive, you are taking back that control. You are choosing to live in the present moment, free from the chains of past hurts. In Buddhism, meditation is often used as a tool to help with forgiveness. Through mindfulness and meditation, we can observe our thoughts and emotions without getting caught up in them. This allows us to see our feelings of anger or hurt more clearly, without judgment, and to let them pass without clinging to them. Meditation teaches us to observe and release, which is a powerful practice when it comes to forgiving others. Another important aspect of forgiveness in Buddhism is the practice of loving kindness, metta. This is the practice of sending love and goodwill to yourself and others, even to those who have wronged you. It's a way of softening your heart and cultivating a sense of connection with all beings. When you practice loving kindness, you are opening your heart to healing and to the possibility of forgiveness. Forgiveness is ultimately a gift you give to yourself. It's not about the other person deserving your forgiveness. It's about you deserving peace. When you forgive, you are setting yourself free. You are no longer weighed down by the burden of anger or resentment. You are light, you are free, and you are at peace. And that peace, that freedom, is worth more than anything else. So, how do you begin to forgive? Start small. It may not be easy, but it's a step worth taking. Begin by sitting quietly, breathing deeply, and bringing to mind the person who has hurt you. Acknowledge the pain, the anger, the hurt. Then, with a deep breath, let it go. Let go of the need to control, to hold on to the past. Offer yourself forgiveness, and then, when you're ready, offer it to the person who has wronged you. Say to yourself, I forgive you. I release this pain. I choose peace. Remember, forgiveness doesn't happen overnight, but every time you choose to forgive, you're one step closer to healing. And with each step, you're creating a life that is filled with peace, compassion, and love, not only for others but for yourself as well. Transforming pain into wisdom, the Buddhist way. My dear friend, sit with me for a moment and reflect. Life is not without its share of pain. Each of us carries wounds, some fresh, others old but still aching. Someone's words may have pierced your heart, or their actions might have shaken your trust. Pain is inevitable in this human experience, yet within it lies a hidden treasure, the opportunity to grow wiser. Yes, your pain can become your greatest teacher if you allow it. In Buddhism, we often say, suffering is the teacher that awakens the mind. What does this mean? Let's start with something simple. When pain comes into your life, how do you react? Most of us resist it. We ask, why me? Why did this happen? This resistance makes the hurt linger. But what if, instead of resisting, you leaned into it? What if you allowed the pain to teach you? Every hurtful moment carries a lesson. It's up to you to uncover it. Take a small example from everyday life. Imagine you're walking barefoot and you step on a thorn. It hurts, right? But what happens next? You pause. You look at your foot. You carefully remove the thorn. The pain makes you pay attention, and in doing so, you learn to tread more mindfully. Emotional pain works the same way. It calls you to stop, look, and reflect. Instead of running from the hurt, ask yourself, what is this teaching me? Maybe it's showing you the value of boundaries, the need for self-love, or the impermanence of all things. Buddhism teaches us that pain is a part of life, but suffering is optional. Pain happens, but suffering comes from holding on to it. Imagine carrying a heavy rock in your hand. The longer you hold it, the more it hurts. Letting go doesn't mean denying the rock existed. It means choosing not to let it weigh you down anymore. Similarly, when someone hurts you, letting go doesn't mean their actions were okay. It means freeing yourself from the burden of resentment. One powerful way to transform pain into wisdom is through self-inquiry. Ask yourself questions. Why does this hurt me so much? What am I clinging to? You might discover that the pain is tied to an expectation, a fear, or a deep attachment. In Buddhism, we often speak of attachments as the root of suffering. When you can see the attachment clearly, you gain the power to release it. Let me tell you a story. Once, a man came to the Buddha and said, "Someone has hurt me deeply. How can I stop feeling this pain?" The Buddha smiled and handed him a bowl of water. He asked the man to stir the water vigorously with a stick. The man did so, and the water became cloudy and unsettled. Then, the Buddha said, "Now, place the stick down and wait." Slowly, the water cleared, and the dirt settled to the bottom. The Buddha then explained, "This is your mind. When you are hurt, your thoughts become agitated, like the stirred water. But if you stop reacting and allow the mind to settle, clarity will come." This is the practice of mindfulness, simply being present with your pain without judgment or reaction. When you sit with your hurt instead of fighting it, something incredible happens. The emotions lose their intensity, and wisdom begins to emerge. You start to see the situation more clearly. Perhaps you see the other person's pain that caused them to act the way they did. Perhaps you see your own patterns of holding on to anger. This clarity is what transforms pain into wisdom. Another tool we use in Buddhism is compassion, not just for others, but for yourself. When someone hurts you, it's easy to direct anger outward. But often, we also turn that anger inward, blaming ourselves for feeling weak or vulnerable. Instead, treat yourself with the same kindness you would offer a dear friend. Place your hand over your heart and say, "It's okay to feel this. I am human." This simple act of self-compassion can be incredibly healing. You see, wisdom isn't something that arrives all at once. It grows like a tree, slowly, with care. Every painful experience is like a seed. If you water it with mindfulness, compassion, and understanding, it will grow into a tree of wisdom. But if you water it with resentment, anger, and self-pity, it will grow into something that casts a shadow over your life. In the Buddhist path, we also talk about impermanence, the understanding that nothing lasts forever, not even pain. When you are hurt, it can feel overwhelming, like it will never end. But remember, just as a storm eventually passes, so too will your pain. When you truly understand this, you stop clinging to the hurt, and it begins to loosen its grip on you. Take a moment to reflect. What has pain taught you in the past? Maybe it taught you to be stronger, kinder, or more patient. Maybe it taught you the value of forgiveness or the importance of setting boundaries. Each lesson has shaped you into the person you are today. Even the hardest moments have contributed to your growth. When you see this clearly, pain no longer feels like a punishment, but a stepping stone on your journey. To transform pain into wisdom, you don't need to rush. Take small steps. Start by observing your emotions without reacting. Practice letting go of the story you tell yourself about the hurt. And above all, be kind to yourself. Healing is not a destination. It's a journey. Remember, my friend, pain is not the enemy. It is a guide, a teacher, and a mirror showing you the parts of yourself that need care and attention. When you embrace this truth, you'll find that pain no longer controls you. Instead, it becomes a source of strength, a wellspring of wisdom that helps you navigate life with grace and clarity. Let this moment be the beginning of your transformation. Let your pain teach you, shape you, and awaken the wisdom within you. As you walk this path, remember, you are not alone. We are all learning, growing, and healing together. Real-life stories of healing inspired by Buddhism. Let me share some simple, real-life stories with you. Stories of ordinary people, just like you, who discovered the healing power of Buddhist teachings in their lives. These aren't tales of monks meditating on mountaintops. These are everyday individuals who found peace through timeless wisdom. Each story holds a key lesson, and as you listen, you might find a reflection of your own struggles and perhaps even a way to overcome them. The weight of the glass. There was a young woman named Anya. She was holding on to anger after her closest friend betrayed her trust. No matter how much time passed, the pain stayed. One day, she went to a Zen teacher and poured out her heart. The teacher smiled and handed her a glass of water. "Hold this glass," he said. She did, and it was light at first. "Now keep holding it," he continued. Minutes turned into an hour, and her arm began to ache. The glass felt heavier with every passing moment. Finally, the teacher said, "This is what happens when you hold on to pain. The longer you cling to it, the heavier it feels. But the moment you set it down, you feel relief." Anya realized that her anger was like that glass. She let it go, and for the first time in years, she felt light again. Lesson: holding on to hurt only makes it worse. Sometimes, the act of letting go is the greatest gift you can give yourself. Conclusion: embracing peace and spreading wisdom. Now that we've journeyed through the teachings of Buddhism together, we come to the final step: embracing peace and spreading wisdom. It's been quite a path, hasn't it? From understanding the pain that others may cause us, to learning the art of forgiveness, mindfulness, and detachment, we've uncovered the tools to heal. But healing is not just about ourselves. It's about the ripple effect we create by sharing our newfound peace with the world around us. Imagine this. You've been hurt, but you've learned how to let go, how to forgive, and how to find peace within yourself. The hurt that once held you captive no longer has power over you. Your mind is calm, your heart is light, and you can smile again, genuinely. This inner peace is not a fleeting moment. It's a state of being that can transform every aspect of your life. And the most beautiful part? It spreads. When you live in peace, others around you begin to notice. They feel the calmness in your presence, the warmth in your words, and the compassion in your actions. Just like a stone dropped into water creates ripples that spread far and wide. Your inner peace creates a ripple effect in the world. But how do we embrace peace fully? The first step is understanding that peace is not something we search for outside of ourselves. It's something we cultivate within. All the wisdom from Buddhism we've discussed, from mindfulness to forgiveness, helps us recognize that peace is already within us. It's not a distant goal. It's our natural state. We just need to clear away the distractions and mental clutter that cloud it. One of the key teachings of Buddhism is that everything is impermanent. The pain, the anger, the hurt you feel today, these emotions will pass, just like everything else in life. When we understand the impermanence of our emotions, we realize that there's no need to hold on to them. They're not permanent. They don't define us. When someone hurts us, it's natural to feel pain. But we can choose not to let that pain define us. We don't have to carry it around forever. Through mindfulness and understanding, we can see that the hurt is just a passing moment in time, not a permanent part of who we are. And once we release that pain, we make space for peace, for love, and for wisdom to enter our lives. In Buddhism, there's a beautiful teaching called metta, which means loving kindness. It's about cultivating a heart that wishes happiness for others, even those who have hurt us. Imagine sending loving thoughts to the person who hurt you. Imagine wishing them peace and happiness. It might feel strange at first, but the more you practice metta, the more you'll feel your heart open up. It's a powerful practice that helps dissolve resentment and anger. When you genuinely wish happiness for others, you free yourself from the chains of bitterness and pain. Now, let's reflect on a simple yet profound lesson in Buddhism, the concept of the middle path. It teaches us to avoid extremes and find balance. When we are hurt, we often swing between two extremes. One where we suppress our feelings and carry the pain silently, and another where we lash out in anger and let the hurt control us. The middle path teaches us to find balance. It's about acknowledging the hurt without letting it overwhelm us. It's about feeling the pain, but not being consumed by it. And it's about responding with wisdom, not with reaction. When you embrace the middle path, you understand that hurt doesn't have to dictate your actions. You can feel the pain, but you can also choose how to respond. And that choice, the ability to act with wisdom rather than react with emotion, is what leads to true freedom. Throughout our journey, we've talked about forgiveness as a powerful tool for healing. But forgiveness isn't just for the person who hurt you, it's for you. Holding on to resentment and anger only keeps you trapped in the past. When you forgive, you free yourself from the chains that bind you. You let go of the emotional weight that keeps you stuck, and you open up to the possibility of a lighter, freer life. Forgiveness is not about excusing the actions of others. It's not about saying what they did was okay. It's about acknowledging that you have the power to let go of the emotional hold those actions have on you. It's about taking your power back. So, what happens when you embrace forgiveness? When you choose to forgive and release the pain, you begin to experience true peace. You begin to see the world in a new light, with a sense of clarity and calm that you may never have known before. You begin to understand that the hurt you once carried was never yours to keep. It was just a passing moment, a fleeting experience that you now have the power to release. As you continue to walk this path, remember that healing is a journey, not a destination. There will be times when the hurt resurfaces, when the old wounds try to reopen. But now, you have the tools to deal with them. You have the wisdom to recognize that these emotions are impermanent, and you have the strength to let them go. And when you share this wisdom with others, you become a beacon of peace in their lives as well. Your journey of healing doesn't just stop with you. It extends outward, touching the lives of everyone you meet. When others see the peace you carry, they are inspired to find peace within themselves. And in this way, the cycle of healing continues, spreading further and further into the world. So, let's commit, right now, to embrace peace in our own lives and share it with those around us. Let's make a promise to ourselves to no longer carry the weight of past hurts. Let's choose forgiveness, choose love, choose wisdom. As we wrap up this journey, I want to thank you for walking with me. You've learned how to heal, how to forgive, and how to embrace the peace that is always within you. Now, go forth and spread that peace. Be the light that others need in their dark times. Show them the way to healing, and in doing so, you'll find that your own heart continues to grow, to expand, and to glow with the warmth of wisdom. Remember, the path to peace is always there. It's within you, and it's never too late to walk it. May your heart be light, your mind at ease, and your spirit filled with love. Thank you for joining me on this beautiful journey. Please, if you haven't already, like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. Your thoughts and experiences matter to us, and we would love to hear how this wisdom has touched your life. Keep spreading the peace, and remember, you are always one step away from healing.